Welcome back to our channel, Zero to English, the podcast dedicated to helping you achieve fluency one practical conversation at a time. We break down real-world English so you can speak confidently in any situation. If you love practical lessons like this, please remember to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell for more videos. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Zero to English. I'm Perry, and I'm joined by Alan. Today, we are tackling a very personal and very important topic: how to talk about anxiety and overthinking. These are difficult feelings to have, and they are even more difficult to explain in a second language.
That's right, Perry. Many learners feel stuck when they try to explain their mental state. They might only know the word stressed, but stress is just the surface. Underneath, there is a whole world of specific feelings. Today, we want to give you the words to express your internal world with clarity and confidence.
We aren't just talking about feeling bad, we are talking about the mental loops we get stuck in. We're going to listen to a conversation between Alex and Chris. Alex is struggling with a lot of what ifs. He's worried about his performance and his future, and Chris is going to help him label those feelings.
Labeling a feeling is the first step to controlling it. In English, we often say, name it to tame it. If you can name the emotion, you can make it less scary. As you listen, notice how Alex describes his brain as if it's a machine that won't turn off.
Hey, Chris, do you have a minute? I feel like I've been spiraling lately, and I just need to get some things off my chest.
Of course, Alex, I'm all ears. When you say you're spiraling, what does that feel like for you?
It's like my brain is on overdrive. I start with one small worry, like a mistake I made in an email, and then it grows. I start thinking I'm going to lose my job, then I won't be able to pay rent, and then I'm a failure. It's a vicious cycle.
That sounds like a classic case of catastrophizing. You take a small problem and you imagine the absolute catastrophe or the worst case scenario. It's very common, but it's exhausting.
Exhausting is the right word. I feel on edge all the time. Even when nothing is happening, I'm waiting for something to go wrong. I can't seem to quiet my mind.
It sounds like you are overthinking every detail. You're looking for problems that haven't happened yet. We call that anticipatory anxiety. You are feeling the fear of the future before the future even arrives.
Yes, I'm ruminating on things I said yesterday and fretting about things that might happen tomorrow. I feel like I'm trapped in my own head.
That is a heavy weight to carry, Alex. But just talking about it, vocalizing it, is the best way to start unplugging that machine.
I love that word, spiraling. S-P-I-R-A-L-I-N-G. Think of a physical spiral moving down and down. When your thoughts move from a small worry to a giant disaster, you are spiraling. It feels like you are losing control.
And Alex used the phrase on edge. Imagine standing on the very edge of a cliff. You feel tense, nervous, and alert. If you are on edge at work, you are waiting for bad news or a mistake. It's a very physical type of anxiety.
Perry used a very important Zero to English word, catastrophizing. It comes from the word catastrophe. This is when your brain creates a movie of the worst possible future. It is the king of overthinking.
And we also heard ruminating. This is a term from biology. Cows ruminate when they chew the same food over and over. In psychology, rumination is when you chew on the same bad thought over and over. You can't let it go.
Let's look at the power verbs and phrases for explaining anxiety. To spiral, to have thoughts that get worse and worse very quickly. To be on overdrive, when your brain is working too hard or too fast. To get something off your chest. To talk about something that is worrying you. To be on edge, feeling nervous, tense, or easily upset. To catastrophize, to imagine the worst possible version of an event.
Let's move deeper into how this feels in the body. Anxiety isn't just a head problem, it's a physical experience.
Exactly. When Alex says he's on edge, his body is physically preparing for a fight. Let's look at the vocabulary of physical anxiety. It's not just the thoughts, Chris. I feel a tightness in my chest. My heart starts racing for no reason. Sometimes I feel like I can't catch my breath.
Those are very common physical manifestations of anxiety. Your fight or flight response is activated. You might also feel butterflies in your stomach or clammy hands.
I get the butterflies before every presentation, and then my mind goes blank. I forget all the English I've learned.
That is called brain fog. When your anxiety level is too high, your executive function shuts down. You aren't stupid. Your brain is just busy trying to protect you from a perceived threat.
A perceived threat? But there is no lion. It's just a Zoom call.
To your brain, the fear of looking foolish feels as dangerous as a lion. We need to work on grounding techniques.
Grounding? Like standing on the grass?
Not exactly. Grounding means bringing your focus back to the present moment. It helps you get out of your head and back into your body.
Brain fog. BRAINFOG. This is a phrase every English learner knows. It's when you feel like there's a cloud in your head. You can't find the right words. It's important to tell people, I'm having a bit of brain fog today. Please bear with me.
And butterflies in your stomach. This is a classic idiom. It describes that fluttery, nervous feeling you get when you are excited or scared. It's a very natural way to explain how you feel before a big event.
Perry also mentioned grounding. For a learner, grounding might be as simple as counting 5 things you can see in the room in English. I see a chair, I see a lamp, I see a window. This breaks the spiral of overthinking.
And let's look at more power phrases. To catch your breath, to breathe normally after being stressed or running. Brain fog, feeling unable to think clearly or remember things. Butterflies in your stomach, a nervous feeling in your stomach. To go blank, to suddenly forget everything you know. Perceived threat, something that feels dangerous even if it isn't.
When you're overthinking, your perceived threat is often the judgment of others. You think people are looking at your English and laughing.
But most of the time, they aren't. They're focused on their own lives. Your overthinking is creating a movie that isn't true.
The goal of Zero to English is to give you the scripts to handle these moments. If you can say, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now, or I'm overthinking this, let me start again, you are taking back control.
In the next part of this script, we're going to look at the social anxiety of English, how to handle the fear of making mistakes in public.
We'll talk about the spotlight effect and why you think everyone is watching you when they really aren't.
Name the feeling, tame the feeling. Let's keep moving from Zero to English.
The journey continues.
We've talked about the internal spiral and the brain fog that happens in your own head, but now we need to address the most common form of overthinking for language learners, social anxiety. This is the fear that everyone is judging your English.
This is a huge barrier, Perry. I see learners who know the grammar and the words, but when they are in a group, they stay silent. They are victims of the spotlight effect.
The spotlight effect. That is a psychological term. It means you feel like there's a giant spotlight on you and everyone is noticing every tiny mistake you make. You think they are counting your ums and uhs, but the truth is, most people are only thinking about themselves.
Exactly. Let's listen to Alex as he explains this social overthinking to Chris. Alex is trying to describe why he feels so paralyzed during his lunch breaks at work.
Chris, I think I'm my own worst enemy. When I'm sitting with my colleagues, I want to join the conversation, but I'm constantly second-guessing myself.
Second guessing. That's when you doubt your first choice or your first thought. You think of a sentence, then you think it's wrong, so you change it, and then you just don't say anything at all.
Precisely. I'm so self-conscious about my accent. I feel like if I make one grammar mistake, people will think I'm incompetent. I'm preoccupied with what they are thinking of me.
Being preoccupied means your mind is already full. If your mind is full of what do they think of me, there is no room left for what am I trying to say. You are experiencing social inhibition.
It's like I have a filter in my brain that is too strong. It stops everything before it comes out. I want to be more spontaneous, but I'm too worried about saving face.
Saving face is about protecting your reputation or your dignity, but in language learning, you have to be willing to lose face a little bit. You have to be okay with being imperfect.
But it feels so vulnerable. I feel like a child when I can't find the right word.
That vulnerability is actually where the connection happens. When you say, "Sorry, I'm struggling to find the word," people usually want to help you. They don't look down on you, they empathize with you.
I love that phrase, second guessing yourself. secondguessing. It's the enemy of fluency. Fluency requires trust. You have to trust that your brain will find the words. If you stop to check every word, you will never have a natural conversation.
And saving face. This is a cultural concept that is very strong in many parts of the world. But Chris is right. To learn English, you have to be brave enough to be bad. You have to accept that you will make mistakes.
Let's look at the power phrases for social overthinking. To second guess, to doubt your actions or thoughts after you've had them. Self-conscious, feeling uncomfortably nervous about what other people think of you. Preoccupied, thinking or worrying about something too much. To save face, to avoid embarrassment or preserve your reputation. Incompetent, lacking the skills or ability to do something successfully.
One of the best ways to explain this to a native speaker is to be honest. You can say, "I'm feeling a bit self-conscious about my English today."
When you say that, the spotlight disappears. You have vocalized the fear, and usually the other person will say, "Don't worry, you're doing great." This is the best way to break the cycle of overthinking.
Let's finish with some mental reframing vocabulary. Reframing means changing how you look at a situation.
So, Chris, instead of seeing a mistake as a failure, I should see it as data?
Exactly. It's growing pains. When a child grows, their legs sometimes hurt. When your English grows, your ego sometimes hurts. It's a sign of progress, not a sign of weakness.
I need to be more self-compassionate. I'm much harder on myself than anyone else is.
We all are, Alex. Try to talk to yourself the way you would talk to a friend. You wouldn't tell a friend they're incompetent for making a mistake, right?
No, I tell them to keep going.
So give yourself that same grace.
Self-compassion. This is the final key. If you are an English learner, you are doing something very difficult. You are navigating a whole different world. Give yourself some credit.
We've covered a lot today. We talked about spiraling, catastrophizing, brain fog, and the spotlight effect.
These words are your armor. Use them to explain your feelings to your friends, your colleagues, or even to yourself.
Remember, you are moving from zero to English, one small win at a time.
My name is Perry.
And my name is Alan.
Be kind to your mind today.
And keep moving forward.
We have discussed the physical feelings and the social pressure. Now we need to talk about the mental fatigue that comes from overthinking. When you are a learner, you are doing double the work. You're thinking about the topic and you're thinking about the language. This leads to what we call burnout.
Burnout isn't just for work, Perry. You can have language burnout. This is when your brain is so tired from overthinking every sentence that it simply wants to shut down. It feels like you are hitting a wall every single day.
Let's listen to Chris and Alex as they discuss the internal critic. This is that voice in your head that tells you that you aren't doing enough. It is the voice that fuels the overthinking.
Chris, I think the hardest part is the noise in my head. Even when I'm not talking, I'm judging myself. I'm thinking about the mistakes I made an hour ago. I'm overanalyzing every interaction.
That is the internal critic at work. It's a form of perfectionism. You feel like if it's not perfect, it's not good enough. You are being hypercritical of your own progress.
Yes, I feel like a fraud. Sometimes I have a good day, but then I think, oh, I just got lucky. Tomorrow, everyone will see that I don't actually know English.
That feeling has a name, Alex. It's called imposter syndrome. It's the belief that you are not as capable as others think you are, and that you will be exposed as a failure.
Exposed, that's exactly it. I feel like I'm wearing a mask. The overthinking is my way of trying to make the mask perfect so nobody sees the real me who struggles.
But the real you is the one who is learning.
You need to switch from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. A fixed mindset says, I'm bad at English. A growth mindset says, I'm currently learning English and it's okay to be in the middle of the process.
I need to find a way to turn down the volume of that critic. It's making me feel mentally drained.
One way to do that is through cognitive reframing. Instead of saying, I sound stupid, you say, I am practicing a difficult skill in a second language, which is actually very impressive.
Imposter syndrome. IMPOSTER. This is a very common phrase in modern English. Even CEOs and famous actors feel this way. For a language learner, it's that feeling that you are faking it until you reach perfection.
And mental bandwidth. Overthinking is like having 20 apps open on your phone at the same time. It drains your battery. When you are hypercritical of yourself, you are using up all your bandwidth on judgment instead of learning. Let's look at the power phrases for the internal critic. To overanalyze, to think about something too much or for too long. Hypercritical, being way too negative or strict with yourself or others. Imposter syndrome, the feeling that you don't deserve your success and are a fraud. Mentally drained, feeling completely exhausted in your mind. To turn down the volume, to reduce the intensity or the power of a negative thought.
Another great way to explain this to someone is to say, I'm my own worst critic. It's a very natural English idiom that tells people you are being hard on yourself.
When you are overthinking, you often lose your perspective. You think a small grammar mistake is a disaster, but to the other person, it's just a tiny detail. They are listening to your ideas, not your prepositions.
Let's talk about the phrase analysis paralysis one more time. In the context of anxiety, it means you are so afraid of saying the wrong thing that you say nothing. You are frozen.
So, Chris, the goal isn't to stop the thoughts completely, but to change how I respond to them, right?
Exactly. You can't always stop the pop-up ads in your brain, but you don't have to click on them. You can notice the thought and say, oh, there's that overthinking again, and then move back to the conversation.
I'm going to try to be more present. I want to focus on the person I'm talking to, not the voice in my head.
That is the secret to fluency. Connection is the cure for overthinking. When you focus on connecting with the other human being, the anxiety naturally starts to fade.
Connection is the cure. If you are overthinking your English, you're focusing on yourself, but language is a bridge to other people. When you walk across that bridge to meet someone else, you forget to worry about how you're walking.
This concludes our deep dive into explaining anxiety and overthinking. We have given you the vocabulary for the spirals, the physical symptoms, the social spotlight, and the internal critic.
Remember, these words are not just definitions. They are keys to help you unlock the pressure in your mind.
You are doing great. Moving from zero to English is a journey of the heart as much as the head.
Keep practicing, keep connecting, and most importantly, keep being kind to yourself. We have covered the mind, the body, and the internal critic. In this final part, we need to discuss the hangover of overthinking. This is what happens after the stressful event is over. We call this post-event rumination. It's when you go home, lie in bed, and replay the day like a movie you can't stop watching.
This is where many learners lose their peace of mind. You might have had a great day, but your brain finds one cringe-worthy moment, a small mistake or a moment of silence, and it focuses on that for hours. It's like a mental stain that you try to scrub away.
Let's listen to the final part of the conversation between Alex and Chris. Alex is talking about the difficulty of letting go after a social interaction.
Chris, even when a conversation goes well, I find myself replaying it in my head later. I think about a joke I made that didn't land, or I worry that I sounded too aggressive when I was just trying to be firm. I'm nitpicking everything I did. That nitpicking is a form of post-event processing. Your brain is trying to fix the past, but the past is already gone. You are experiencing reflective anxiety. Instead of learning from the event, you're just punishing yourself for it. I feel so self-conscious about it. I worry that I left a bad first impression or that people think I'm too much because I was talking too fast. I'm stewarding my reputation to an extreme level. You are suffering from the spotlight afterglow. You think everyone else is also lying in bed thinking about your mistakes, but they aren't. They are busy replaying their own mistakes. We are all the stars of our own movies, Alex. No one is a critic in yours. I want to be able to just switch off. I want to have a conversation and then leave it at the door. How do I stop the mental rehearsal and the post-game analysis? You need a pattern interrupt. When you catch yourselves replaying a moment, you have to physically and mentally change the subject. Use a mantra like "it is what it is" or "I did my best and that is enough." You have to give yourself closure. Closure. I like that. I need to close the file on that day and move on. I'm tired of being haunted by small grammar errors. Exactly. Remember, your English is a work in progress. It's a draft, not a final book. You are allowed to have messy pages.
Nitpicking. Nitpicking. This comes from the tiny eggs of insects called nits. To nitpick means to look for very small, unimportant mistakes. When you do this to your English, you are destroying your own confidence for no reason.
And pattern interrupt. This is a powerful tool for overthinkers. If your brain is stuck in a loop, you have to do something different. Stand up, drink water, or listen to music. You have to break the signal of the overthinking.
Let's look at the power phrases for the post-event phase. To replay, to think about an event over and over again in your mind. Nitpicking, finding small, unimportant faults in yourself or your work. Post-event processing, the mental act of analyzing a social situation after it has ended. To leave it at the door, to stop thinking about something once you have left the situation. Pattern interrupt, an action that breaks a repetitive habit or thought process.
If you want to explain this to a friend, you can say, "I'm just overanalyzing what I said earlier. I need to let it go." This is a very common and honest way to communicate.
In Zero to English, we believe that the goal of a year is not just to speak better, but to think kinder. If your English is perfect, but your mind is full of anxiety, you haven't truly succeeded.
Success is feeling at home in the language, and you can't feel at home if you're always nitpicking the furniture.
We hope this series on anxiety and overthinking has given you the vocabulary of peace. You now have the names for the spirals, the fog, the spotlight, and the nitpicking.
Use these words to be honest with yourself and others. Vulnerability is the fastest way to build real fluency.
You are doing an incredible job. Keep moving, keep breathing, and keep growing from Zero to English.
The journey is yours. We are just here to help you find the words.